am 9 years old. I'm sitting at our family's round kitchen table in our home's small kitchen. A freshly sharpened pencil is in my hand, and a blank piece of wide ruled paper sits in front of me. I'm frustrated. My mom is bustling around the kitchen, preparing, cleaning, organizing. I'm not entirely sure which. She rarely sits down. The effort she puts into making our family's life happy and healthy is tremendous. And at this moment, I'm working on homework. I have to write an essay, the very first of my academic life. I don't remember the exact assignment anymore. It might have been about Florida. It might have been about endangered species. The details have faded with time. But I do remember what I chose as a topic: the manatee, those slow, gentle creatures that live in the rivers and springs I grew up around. I knew what I wanted to say. I could see the whole essay clearly in my head, but the words wouldn't come out the way I wanted them to. The thoughts were there, but they weren't flowing onto the page. I didn't yet have the vocabulary to express what I already understood. So I started speaking the ideas out loud, hoping that if I said them enough, they might arrange themselves into the right order. The point I was trying to make was simple. If we didn't take care of these animals, they might one day disappear. At one point, when I paused mid-sentence, trying to find a word that didn't sound too harsh, my mother quietly stopped what she was doing and said, "Demise." And something in my mind clicked. Welcome back. This podcast started as a way for me to understand something I had only recently discovered: ADHD-related demoralization. At the time, I was trying to figure out what it meant and whether it explained parts of my life that had never quite made sense. As it's evolved, it's become something a little different, an attempt to understand what that experience actually does to a person and how repair begins once you finally see it clearly. Because sometimes repair doesn't mean fixing the machine. Sometimes it means learning how it was built in the first place. When my mom said the word demise, something extraordinary happened. I fell in love with language. Not just words, language. The power of choosing the exact word that holds the meaning you're trying to convey. In that moment, I could suddenly see a path, a way to take the thousands of thoughts constantly bouncing around in my head and give them structure. Writing became the place where my brain slowed down, where the chaos organized itself, where pressure escaped. And at the end of that writing session, my mother said something I never forgot. She told me she could see the talent God had given me: writing. There was never a moment after that where I doubted it. Writing was my gift. It has also always been my release valve. When my brain is moving too fast, writing slows it down. When emotions are tangled, writing separates them. When something doesn't make sense, writing lets me examine it. Over the years, I've written constantly, not always for other people. Most of what I write is never seen by anyone but me. Questions, observations, fragments of thought, often ideas, sometimes emotions I didn't know how to say out loud. I love the complexity of language, the history behind certain phrases, the feeling of discovering a word I've never encountered before. There's a scene in the 1989 movie Say Anything where Diane Court, the brilliant valedictorian, keeps a dictionary on a stand and checks off words as she learns them. That's me. except the check marks are stored in my head. My mind is constantly cataloging language because every word is a tool, and the right one can unlock something inside you. Since that first assignment, writing is how I've asked questions. Why did this happen? Why can't I seem to do things the way other people do them? But now I'm writing for a different reason. Now I'm writing to repair. This podcast is part of that repair. And what revealed itself along the way surprised me. My nervous system has started to calm. The best way I can describe it is like driving a car in the wrong gear. For longer than I realized, my brain felt like it was stuck in one that was too high. Everything felt jerky, chaotic, grinding, constantly forcing motion that didn't quite work. But writing these episodes, speaking honestly about what I'm learning, has downshifted my being. The movement feels smoother. The engine isn't fighting itself anymore. For the first time in my life, I don't feel like I'm trying to fix myself. I feel like I'm learning how to operate the machine correctly. That realization leads to something even bigger. Repair isn't about becoming someone else. It's about standing fully in who you already are, unabashedly, without the constant attempt to edit yourself so other people feel comfortable. It means being okay with not being understood, being okay with judgment, being okay with difference. Not with hostility, not with defensiveness, just with clarity. This is who I am. This is what I believe. And this is how I was made. I've been so busy during my life looking down, watching every step I take, analyzing every move, correcting every mistake, that I've forgotten something obvious. I'm actually very good at walking. And the path I've been walking on, it's beautiful, full of interesting turns, full of remarkable people who choose to walk beside me. But when you spend your life staring down at your feet, you miss the scenery. Repair means lifting your chin, looking up, and seeing the world. Here's what I know now. Repair doesn't require rebuilding your entire life. Sometimes it starts with something much smaller. A single moment of honesty, a single shift in perspective, a single acknowledgement that nothing is wrong with me. And the realization that now that I understand how I'm built, I get to decide where I go next. Today is our destiny, not some distant future moment where everything finally makes sense, not some version of yourself you imagine arriving one day. Today. Life is the breath we just took, the one we're taking now, and the one we're about to take next. Repair begins when we decide to love the moment we're in, the person we already are, and the choices we're allowed to make from here. The illusion of an enemy, the idea that something about you must be defeated before you can live fully, is just that, an illusion. Free will gives us the ability to pivot, to choose something new, to move towards something we want, one breath at a time. I'll be back soon. Until then, give yourself grace. You've been listening to Demoralized with Molly Kellogg-Schmauch.